to my understanding.
Morena and welcome to the Vincent Community Board meeting for Tuesday the 28th of April 2026. It's great to have you all here today, members, staff, the Mayor and members of the public. And it's great to be back in the council chambers after our wee roadie to start the year off in Clyde and Ormeco. So we've got a bit on the agenda today when it comes to the public forum. So just be a reminder that you've got 5 minutes and Sarah will be tracking that for us. So 5 minutes does mean 5 minutes today. To start off, we've got one apology from Martin McPherson, who is busy in Cromwell today with a hearings panel. So he'll be excused for that one. So I'm happy to move that we accept that apology. Seconder, Tony, all in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Right, so now straight into the public forum. To start, we have got Pat Cooney from the Alexandra District Club.
Morning. Hopefully you've received and read the submission. I just want to touch on a couple of things first. In the event that the council, because it'll be making the final decision, decides to sell or redevelop the Craigie site, then I think as part of that process it needs to take into account history, and the members from the Craigie Club will deal with that. I mean, it's been in place for 95 odd years. For those who've received a copy of the current tenancy document, you might find it's an interesting document, and particularly one of the signatories, which was 35 years ago, because I was one of the signatories on behalf of the council. Anyway, the second thing, that if the council does decide to sell and moves to look at dealing with the Croquet Club to relocate, it's been suggested Molyneux Park, then I think it's incumbent upon the council to seriously look at financial support, because the Croquet Club, small membership, unencumbered at the moment, and I don't think it's good for the community, certainly not good for the club and the future of croquet in this town, for it to be lumbered with a significant burden. In the event that the third option, and difficulty we've got, of course, is that we haven't got a copy of the report, and understand why. But in terms of the third option, which is for a new lease, which would be potentially with the district club, because it's the current tenant, then we're happy with that on the 15+15 basis and 5-year rent reviews, etc. But we do have some reservations about the calculation of the rent. And as I've said in the submission, that it was done on the basis of the activity of the facility, and clearly that rent has to be based on the Croquet Club as opposed to the district club, because that potentially for the council would be a big cash cow, and I'd have to say I'm not too keen on that. In the event that the lease was to be offered, and in the event that the council said, no, we're going to base it on your overall income, including the district clubs, we would say thanks, but no thanks. We're out of here. We will support a new lease on the name of the Croquet Club. So that's really the long and short of the district club submission.
Are there any questions? Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And next up, on behalf of the Alexandra Croquet Club, we've got Graham Martin.
Morning. We have, and have you perchance got a copy of my submission?
Yes.
Good. Then I don't need to introduce Barney Mills, but I will. Barney is the club captain for the Croquet Club, and can I give an apology for Marion Payton, who's the president of the Croquet Club. Thank you for the opportunity to present to the board today. This statement is made without knowledge of the information today's staff report contains. It is intended to provide insight of the history of the grounds that is not contained in the summary of Croquet Club's operations that we had provided to staff last year. This year, actually, 2 times. Attached to the submission is a GIS map of the area involved in the current lease and the lease renewal. And in that map, you'll see that the address nominally of 2 Kenmure Street is the lines creating the titles. This GIS map is correct in relation to title and history. And you'll see that it is no simple matter of 2 urban sections. The rating unit that is the register of the District Council is correctly defined by 5 land title elements, 2 sections with Kenmare Street frontage, nominally being 2 and 4 Kenmare Street, 2 extensions, 1 of each Kenmare section, those extensions cut from Centennial Avenue sections, 1 further extension, which was done something like 30 years later, 1 further extension to the 2 Kenmare Street section, cut from what is now the KFC property on Centennial Avenue. This title is very unusual by its size. It's only 94 odd square metres, and by being landlocked, having no street access. This title has the consented Alexandra Croquet Club rooms on it. Combination of the 5 titles as a single rating unit is recorded as with the land use code OS or other sports, a code of specific meaning in council's administrative policies. Changes of land title ownership do not record the reasons for title change or any encumbrances associated therewith, such as endowments, endowment purposes, estate bequests, and purposes of bequests. They simply record what has been legally agreed otherwise as the title outcome. In 1934, the Alexandra Borough Council resolved to purchase this land for the purposes of croquet. This is documented in council files, of course, but also is recorded in Gordon Ramage's History of the Alexandra Borough Council. In 1935, the council resolved how it would fund the purchase and what its configuration would be for the purpose of croquet. These decisions recorded as being for provision of 2 full-size croquet lawns. This required the extension of the 2 Kenmure Street sections with land from the juxtaposed Centennial Ave sections. Hence, you see normal sections in Kenmure Street being particularly added to for a very particular purpose. Extended size minimally allowed creation of 2 full-size lawns with a rather narrow walkway around the lawn's perimeter. This confined lawn space did not allow for on-site equipment storage or club rooms. When the purchase was completed and a lease agreed, the 2 lawns were created and have been perpetually maintained and improved since then. These sorts of lawns have to be very flat. They're like bowling greens, and they're like the greens on a golf course. You never plough them up. You perpetually maintain and improve and refine. You can't take sport out for a year or 2 while you establish them again. The present KFC site was a residential section owned by a devoted croquet player and supporter, Mrs. Burgess. She had allowed use of the very rearmost part of her property for croquet use. That portion of her section has the present-day croquet club rooms and equipment shelter built on it. After her death and settling of her estate, her section was sold to KFC and the land title was divided in 2, one being a small landlocked title occupied by the club rooms and equipment shelter. Creation of the landlocked title was only enabled by placing it into ownership of adjacent properties which have street access. That action allowed the bequest of Mrs. Burgess to the Croquet Club to be fulfilled, but the title has continuing responsibility to carry Mrs. Burgess' bequest with it. Such is how the 5 land title elements and 2 Kenmure Street rating unit came into existence. This was all by explicit, purpose-driven, informed decision-making for the purposes of croquet, as recorded in 1934. It is by design. The council roading plan has a policy for Kenmure Street that calms traffic and makes increased parking provision by angled parking. Sports facilities require more parking provision than residential zones. The parking is shown in the attached plan. Conclusion, the 92-year-old history of coherent decision-making with investment by both club and council placed the future use of 2 Kenmure Street rating unit firmly under council's community sport and recreation policy, thus enabling the property to continue to be leased for the original purpose of croquet. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, Sir Tony?
So looking forward, you've got, I think you've got a paid member who does the maintenance on your green. So how does it look for you going forward? You're constricted in size for 2 full greens, and you have interclub, you talk about interclub stuff. So what's sort of 5 years' time, you've got the capacity to continue as it sits and operationally?
Oh, absolutely. And indeed, have done so for 92 years, actually longer. The club pre-existed the existing premises. We don't commercially contract a greenkeeper, but one of our members is appropriately remunerated for mostly doing the green management and mowing. For numbers, we typically on playing days, as noted in the submission we made to staff, gave to staff, play on 2 small greens, 4 small greens, sorry. That some people don't like, but it's good for social and good for getting a maximum number of people involved. The club membership at the moment, right at the moment, I think is 31 members. That is a high. I've only been involved for about 6 years. That is a high. So croquet is not in decline, sir.
Is subs your only form of income? Are the subs your only form of income?
No, we have one other stream of income, which is shown in our finances, which is by participating in the raffles that the Alexandra District Club has. And so, we pay for the costs of that to get reimbursed with the return. That's shown in our
Would you lose that if you relocated it, though? That's a symbiotic relationship that exists now. So if you move the facility, would that still exist, maybe?
Hard to know, but if we had to relocate, there are a raft of enormous difficulties, by no means the least of which is the legal difficulties of disencumbering from these 5 titles. But how that would go is hard to know. There would be major problems in terms of disentangling from the legal history of these 5 titles. There would be have to be a review of how the club could finance or not, having invested and maintained in the grounds and club rooms. The club has fully self-provided and is debt-free. So it's in a good position for continuing on that site. I have to say it's in a poor position to make a new clean start elsewhere. Establishing grounds, leave aside any club facilities, establishing grounds is a long time process. It requires a good deal of engineering and a hell of a lot better set of greens management creation capability. It takes time. It takes time to settle. You might be able to have a green ready in 12 months, but it will settle and it will alter. So that's why I referred to earlier, the perpetual maintenance of this type of lawn.
But having done that, would that opportunity be better than the current situation? If you had the time, the scope to put to?
I don't believe so. I've had a chat with a good number of club members and we don't believe so. And of course, that opportunity was looked at by a number of years ago with a proposal in relation to Molyneux Park. It was rejected then. I don't know exactly why, but I can see a raft of reasons why it would have been. By no means the least is the matter of establishing lawns again. And also disentangling or whatever else is to be done on the titles and the history.
You know, if it was, who it was rejected by? Was it rejected by council or was it rejected by a club?
I think it's fair to say that the two did not reach agreement, but they understood each other's position. That's what I've found.
So you, just getting the gist of it, you wouldn't be in favour of relocating. Is that what you're trying to say?
I would not. I think with a small club that's got no debt, that's self-supporting and has shown it's self-supporting over a long time, more than 100 years the club has been in existence.
So what say that the council took care of the
Financials.
the land side of it, because it's council land. They sell some of the land, and some of that, so that therefore some of that would be used to relocate to Molyneux Park. So that would cover your problems with the land, and which the council would sort, and then the financing side of it. So how would you go there? What's your thoughts there?
If the council said we will give space to Molyneux Park or somewhere, and we will establish the lawns,
Which was originally proposed, though, in that original, it was originally proposed in the original 2007 or something.
I didn't read that.
Yeah.
I read
Okay,
quite
sorry.
contrary.
Yeah, it was probably good.
If the council were to say, yep, look, you're debt free and you've got good lawns and you've got clubs and facilities, we want you out. There you go there, we will see you're debt free and you've got lawns and you've got some club facilities. The club would have to consider it.
Yes, that was my question about a bigger space. That was my question about a bigger space.
It would give you room to expand as well, of course, and get the larger courts as well.
It would, but it's fair to say we haven't been plagued by lots of people wanting to play beyond our capacity of using 4 small lawns. So one more large lawn would perhaps be advantageous in helping with some of the interclub competitions.
The youth side of it.
Sorry?
What about the youth side of it? Expanding into there, because nationally the youth is expanding.
Yeah, we're competing pretty well internationally from a youth croquet point of view. So I learned about 5 weeks ago.
Yes, there's an international croquet youth team. I don't know what it is exactly now, but 4 years ago, I can tell you, the international team was very successful and the average age was 24. That was the international team, which happened to be a youth team. The club is keen to establish youth operation. We have decided we could do that on the existing premises. The issue is to get enough people that are interested.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And so I think space for the sheer hell of growing, not necessarily ideal, but space that allows growing, maybe.
Any final questions? Thank you very much. You've given us a lot to think about.
Thank you.
Right now we move on to our grant applicants. So first up, we've got Andy Davey from Interstellar Charitable Trust, who I feel at this point is almost like an honorary 6th member of this board.
What to think about that?
Take it as a compliment. Take it as a compliment.
Yes, thank you, I will. Sarah, did you?
This moment got it, Andy.
Thank you. Sorry for the last minute. I've sent some slides off to Sarah. So this application is for an event that we intend to hold at Central Stories on the 4th of July. Not for the reason that it's the 4th of July, but because that's the first Saturday of the school holidays in winter. It's also this year the Saturday before Matariki, So a night sky event around Matariki will, of course, acknowledge Matariki and celebrate it in whichever way it can. Here we go. So to manage and develop this event and future events, we have established, or will be establishing next week, Central Otago Dark Sky Group. And you go back a couple of slides, or once you're ready. The most important thing that I needed to do before we started this group is to get somebody to chair it, because I don't think you say an extra member of the thing, but I really don't feel like I've achieved what I potentially could have in the times that we've been together. So I've recruited Monique Kelly to chair the Central Otago Dark Sky Group. Monique is trustee and general manager of WOW in Wanaka, but also a resident of St. Bathans. You may be familiar with her from her organising and running the events in St. Bathans, the Village Fete. So she will chair the new group that we're going to form for next week. The rest of the team, we're trying to bring it. Well, we've already got like a lighting engineer, representatives from Vincent, Annie Toto. I'm looking for somebody for Teviot Ward, and we would like to invite somebody from tourism, Central Otago, and perhaps an election member as well, or somebody from CODC who can help us achieve our goals. The goals are to establish a dark sky reserve across Central Otago. Central Otago, as I have told you the many times that I've been in front of you, is unique in the world, as in 0.001% of the population, which is us, live under the conditions where we can see the Milky Way, aurora, low light pollution, more than 50% clear skies because of the rain shadow. And all them reasons make these areas unique. So the event will give us an opportunity to put that message and communication forwards to the community. I can't remember which order the slides go, but people that will be included in this event will be the Winter Stellar team. Obviously, we're going to put together a new Central Otago focused exhibition for Alexandra and Arrowtown. We have invited, or we will, if funding allows, invite down Cara from Hammer Springs. She's a descendant of Wayfinder Starfinder from Naitahu. She runs, but also she runs an astrotourism operation in Hammer Springs with an observatory above the town there. So she's got a lot of insights that we'd like to share with Central Otago aspiring astrotourism people. We would also be bringing along the Terrace School. Terrace School, we've just recently kicked off a pilot project where we're putting fixed sky quality meters into the school, and the school class, I'm not sure whether it's just part of the school year, the project this semester is space. So I'm going down to talk to them on the 14th. We're going to take the big Milky Way for the classroom, and we're going to have them keeping a calendar of like lunar cycles, weather, percentage clouds cover and stuff like that, and matching it up with sky quality meetings. So this is a pilot project, and we'll let them show their findings and whatever else they produce at the as part of this semester, as part of the event as well. And we'll be rolling that out to other schools such as Taras, Poolburn, and some Eviat as well. Hopefully, with some of the funding and some extra funding that we'll need as part of the Winter Stellar Astro Sites project. But having them included in the event, I think, would be quite a highlight. Yeah, sorry, I've not been able to talk through this in a methodical way with the presentation. And there isn't that much detail, I'm afraid, sorry, because like I say, we've only just started to put the team together that's going to be running this group and also running this event. But I hope I've given you enough to get the gist of it, and I can answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, Andy. Are there any questions?
Sorry about the late sending of the presentation and putting you on the spot there, Sarah.
So of the 18,500 that you've asked for, so you've said about events in Arrowtown and Alex, so all of that would be spent?
All of that
on
will
the
be spent in
board?
Central Otago, and really we don't need that much now because I know Urufenua Health have got their own Matariki celebration planned. So it takes a lot of, because what I was envisaging is having to do some proper paid consultation in order to do a right by that part of the job. But that will probably not be necessary for this. We will be obviously celebrating Matariki, but that part may not be as important. So yeah.
So in that case, roughly how much of that?
I think
Reduce that?
because we're getting people down from Enzi and Ahmed, I think that is covering the expenses, which I think have included in the budget for central stories. So we definitely need that, and we definitely need some travel capacity to get people down that can tell the best story to the people that we want to get down here as part of them workshops. And currently, estimating travel costs at this point is quite difficult. And yeah, should we say, okay.
You. Yeah, just again, thank you so much for everything that you do. We always see you, you're all over the place, pulling all of us together. And I think if we look at what you have accomplished as a group out in Athens and Lauder, it's incredible. And you guys have been a great asset to the community. Thank you.
Well, hopefully it's just the start. Thank you.
Good job.
Cheers.
Thank you. So now we have got Woolon Creative Fashion Society Inc. with Jane.
Hello. Thank you for having me. Thank you for hearing the submission today in support of the Woolon Creative Fashion Event 2026. I'm Jane Avery and I'm the events producer. Woolon takes to the catwalk again on August 29th. The Alexandra Bowling Club will, as it was at our last event in 2024, be transformed into an arena for showcasing imaginative and skillfully crafted woolen creations. It's a glamorous evening of fashion and wearable art, an event that is a perennial favourite on the Alexandra social calendar, and one that is increasingly gaining national recognition, as evidenced by our 2024 media attention of 7 Sharp, 9 till noon, News Talk ZP, and several national print publications of note. It's an event which celebrates wool, wonderful wool, as it passes through all the various hands, from farmers who grow it, many of them in the Central Otago region, to craftspeople and designers from all across our motu. Some are extremely seasoned and experienced, and we love to celebrate their fresh offerings year after year, while others are just starting out on what we hope will be a lifetime love affair of creating with this most precious and sustainable medium. Since drafting a fresh 3-year strategy at the beginning of 2025, the Woolon Committee has been crafting a path forward for taking the event to new heights of presentation, and also to grow and develop our community outreach in an effort to spark the imaginations of young people discovering wool. For example, along with the 9 design categories to be modelled on this year's catwalk, we will be presenting a story of wool. This in-show entertainment will tell just that, thanks to a collaboration with performers from Alexandra's Southern Stars Stage Academy, shining a light on the youthful talent of this town. Our matinee and gala shows will feature creations by school children. One of our members is currently running a pilot program in Clyde School teaching wool craft. I can report from our entries desk, several young creators, more junior designers than we've ever had, will be sending their creations down this year's catwalk. Inspiring new generations of creators and consumers about the merits of wool is what Wool On is about. A concerted campaign has also been going out to New Zealand's tertiary design schools to increase and foster emerging young designer involvement. And we maintain close rapport with the likes of Campaign for Wool and Wool Impact, letting these wool promoting organisations know that our show and our community outreach is an effective tool in keeping wool in the spotlight and thriving way into the future. After the lights go down on the catwalk shows of August 29th, there's still more to fill wool lovers' cups. The Sunday Wool Expo, Wool On Sunday Expo, is once again being hosted at Central Stories Museum and Art Gallery with a myriad of trader stalls and wool crafting workshops. If you'd like to try your fingers at some knitting, crocheting, or indeed some wool embroidery, then step right up. Experts will be in situ along with the previous day's judging panel, giving their insights and words of wisdom. Wool On is a much loved and important happening on the Central Otago arts scene. To this day, it remains vital, relevant, and filled with potential. It's highly anticipated and well attended. It's also generously supported by local businesses in a sponsorship capacity. There's a clear sense of pride and ownership of the Wool On event by the people of this region. And while business covers our designer prize pool, it is grants from the likes of the Central Otago District Council that keep the operation of the Wool On event not just surviving, but thriving. We have applied to the CODC to assist with the audio-visual lighting and staging services associated with this year's event, a package which will repeat and improve upon the extravaganza of 2024 at Alexandra's Bowling Club. I promise you won't even recognise it, the place where you usually go to bowl. It will be a world of difference, as our local mantra goes. And with the help of the gratefully accepted ratepayers' money, we intend singing not just Wool's, but our great region's praises across the land. Thank you.
Questions?
Social media like the alpaca socks I'm getting banged with on my phone. How do you get that sort of presents for someone?
Favorite, I suppose. You put budget into social media. Yeah, our social media is growing. I've taken on the communications role. So I've been posting frequently than what has been posted in the past, telling stories and trying to really engage with people. So for example, our sponsorship, I've been introducing the sponsors with photos of the sponsors and telling personal stories about, their favorite wool garments, for example. So we've been collecting that sort of thing. So the aim is to really engage with an audience that is really dedicated to wool. And, yeah.
I think the success of the wool fashion event at Vicky's in Omako a couple of weeks ago will probably build on that. It was really popular and the fashion is outstanding. It's not two sacks and a blanket sewn together. It's beautiful work, and I can't wait to see Chanel jump on board with that as well now that they have purchased
yes.
Glamour Station.
We are trying right now to put together a Chanel-worthy pitch. Looking for a platinum sponsor.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, we've got, on behalf of the Veterans Cricket Otago, Lindsay and Claire. Welcome.
Going to leave them hanging out.
You'll bring the caterer. Yeah, good morning and thank you. Veterans cricket in New Zealand's growing at a very fast rate, and just recently in Otago we have this past season has seen us have under 40s, over 40s and over 50s grades join in for the Otago teams, and cricket is now at that level. It's got 40s, over 50s, over 55s, over 60s, over 65s and over 70s. And it's a very sort of growing numbers game. And obviously the 6 provinces in New Zealand cricket, and Otago being one of them, we should at least on an annual basis or biannual basis have hosting a tournament somewhere in Otago. And we would really like that to be Central Otago. And we would like to think that the facility at Molyneux Park and the other grounds that we would be hosting hosting tournaments on that sort of time frame. This particular tournament, over 60s, 2 divisions, 12 teams. Roughly, we conservatively estimate it will bring $250,000 into the town for the week. That's an accommodation, meals, etc., services, all the various things. People like to come to Central Otago. They enjoy visiting here. And a number of these people will stay on after the tournament and do biking and other events. The thing about Vets cricket, generally it's totally self-funded. So it's people that can afford to play, come, and so they've got disposable income to spend. And I know the over 70s we held here last year, you know, the local restaurants were extremely pleased to see people in every night spending their money. I just feel that it would be a great sign of sort of hope on behalf of the council if they support our application and said that yes, we want Vets cricket to come here on a regular basis and you know, sort of enjoy the benefits from it. That's probably pretty much all I've really got to say. And happy to take any questions.
Any questions?
I see in the application said 26, 27. Does that, I presume that's the end of 26?
No,
into
we'll
27.
currently we've been allocated for 2 years, 2027 and 2028.
So that's 2.
It's in February. The tournament's always in February for the over 60s. So it'll be 2 years we have been granted the tournament.
Yes.
And you talked about Molyneux plus other grounds?
Yes, we've four wickets at Molyneux Park and one at Cromwell and one at Oturihua. We have to have 6 grass wickets. We are looking at Clyde, but it's probably not quite fitting enough. But we've had agreements with the local clubs to use those facilities, and we've applied to the council for the use of Molyneux Park.
Thank you very much. Everybody else is left, but we are about to actually make these decisions, so you are welcome to stay.
I'm actually quick for another meeting at 11 o'clock. So, well, good job.
Great event.
And thank you to everybody who spoke today in the public forum. And yeah, hopefully we can make some people happy. So we will now move along to the minutes of the previous meeting. So is somebody happy to move that the public minutes from our meeting on the 17th of March be confirmed as a true and correct record?
Just in the meeting, in the minutes, regards to the Otago Regional Council, my understanding was that we, with the relocation of the pumping equipment, my understanding is that we actually told them to go away and seek for alternative sites, and I didn't see that anywhere in the correspondence. Is that my interpretation? Or?
I think we discussed it, but then we ended up recommending to council that it goes to them to deal with this one.
I think arranged was about the location of the park. Yeah. That could not that we agree. They're going to make it in the middle. I think that was the context of it.
That we're hearing all of the submissions to make a final recommendation to council, right? So then we're hearing submissions.
There will be submissions of it.
If council agrees to the recommendations tomorrow. I believe it's tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So somebody happy to move that those it's a true and correct record? Tony. Thanks, Carla. All in favour? Against? Carried. All right. And then if we move to page 14, the declarations of interest, and just a reminder of your obligations in respect of declaring any interests, and to let Sarah know if there are any changes that need to be made. Any conflicts for this meeting? Move right along then. And that brings us to page 18, agenda item 2632, the 25-26 promotions grants and events grants, second round. So it does say community as well, but we spent everything last time, so there is no.
Just like my first sentence. Good, everybody. Thank you. Great to have had the applicants all come along and speak to you. So that's very good. You're in a really privileged position in that for this year and next year, your grant budget is under less pressure. Blossom Festival is being funded in an alternative way. So you've actually got quite a healthy amount of funding left in this current financial year. All the applications are for activities in 26-27, and normally we would say to fund them from that year. But because you've got 34,800 in this current financial year, I'm suggesting that for anything that you approve at this meeting, that you fund it from this year, leaving yourself the full year's budget for applications in the next rounds. Winter Stellar. The recommendation that I made in funding is pulled back based on the description in the application around the outreach programs and events in spreading the events across the thing. And I was having a look back at the budget when Andy was talking, and I couldn't see travel in the budget. So I was just trying to get my head around where he was sitting with that. In saying that, you do have the ability to pull that figure up if you feel it would be more appropriate. They have received some funding for some of those elements from other agencies. So I sort of pulled out the educational component, thinking outreach was a project that would be funded in an alternative way, not necessarily in the promotions and events part grant. The cricket. Great demographic, great 7 days of people in the region. That's a really good outcome for that. With the local group, they're a membership group. They're not an incorporated group. They work under the banner of the national agency. So my suggestion is that if you agree to provide some funding, we can deal with that because they've asked for it for ground hire and facilities hire. We can deal with that through an internal transfer process rather than actually release it to the group to come back in. Given that they don't have a huge amount of scope for other kinds of grants, is there a reason that you didn't recommend the full amount? More around setting precedent around sporting events coming in and seeking funding on a regular basis. You have the ability to increase it. I went for roughly half of what the total cost of the ground and facilities hire was, thinking that, they'll be charging people to attend the event. So, the ability is there to bring it up. Did they charge people last year? I couldn't see that in their records. Insurance cricket tournament, it would be unusual for that to be charged to attend. You didn't charge people last year.
Yeah, the players pay.
No, sorry, it's
public.
No, it's not public.
No, it's not. No, definitely not.
Yeah, but the people tending to play will be charged. The people that are participating.
Yes.
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 Yeah. So they're in the charge.
It's paid for their food and the facilities. Yeah.
I have limited ability to make up the difference in that money. Would be what
Oh, and well on excellent event, really well connected with what this region is known for, has huge potential, and they will be incurring additional costs. The venue is difficult for them to manage. So I was quite happy with what they were applying for in the way of costs for that.
And you weren't concerned about a precedent there with 100% funding?
Not for the amount, for the cost of what they're putting in to run the event. That's a very small proportion of the event cost.
They do have the ability to draw funds from other grants and things as well, of course.
Yep.
So from arts and societies and things as well. So they have greater scope to pull in money from other areas, which is the other sort of the difference we would make.
Yep.
Is there anything else?
No, that would be the key points, really.
So we'll do the usual, pull up the table on the screen, and then we'll go through each one. If you've got any further questions on a particular grant, that will be answered, and then we'll take them all as one once we've agreed on the amounts. So first up, we have got the Veterans Cricket Otago. So they have requested 5,000. I'm going to go back to my screen. My eyesight's not liking that today. The staff recommendation is $3,350. Thoughts, Tony?
Well,
Full amount.
yeah, probably right. Yeah, I think, and it's about 8%, 9% of the full amount, which is what the Wool-on thing is, similar sort of numbers. So $700, pretty good effort.
Any counter arguments to that one?
No.
Okay. Was easy. Right, Wool-on. With the current request being the 9,990 and the recommendation for the full amount.
Well, I did make the point that they have the ability to draw funds from other areas, but it's a smallish amount, so I don't think it's a point to be sitting on. Really.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't that proportion of the event, then I would have hesitations of funding the full 100%, given we weren't proposing to do that for the others. But given that we're looking at their income last year of 135 to run the event, and this is for 10, then I don't have a problem with that. I wouldn't like to see them continually being funded at 100% of other groups if we're not.
Have we given them funding in the past on the events and resolutions?
Yes,
Haven't we?
We've upped it from 8,000 to 9,000, I think, from memory.
This is the same level as last time.
Yeah,
They were
same
funded.
level as last time.
9,000 last time.
Oh, actually, no, you're right. Actually, that we did pull them back last time. 8.5. You are right. Sorry.
So I guess that's my question, is given we're wanting these events and promotions to become less reliant on grants, I get the thinking around giving them a full amount, but if we have been pulling back over time, as we did with the Blossom Festival briefly, I'm wondering, do we need to continue that, or has the board changed its view on
Can I
that?
just raise one thing? I think if they had a venue that was easier to manage, I would agree with you. It's a difficult venue and way that to make it into something suitable for the event. The easy thing for this group would have been to have gone to a new facility further up the lake.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, but.
Yeah, my decision is yours.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I
I think, look, we're sitting under 10% on most these,
Yeah.
whether it's 100% of what they apply. They're asking for less than 10%.
Exactly,
I kind of think it's more about, if we didn't pull it back, it's actually seeing that our investment grows the event to what it could be. And
I don't really have an opinion on it. I just wanted to check in, given that we had started that process, obviously a few new people around the table, and so I just wanted to double check before we move forward with that, whether we want to continue that.
No. I will register the same.
We're happy to keep that one the same.
yeah.
And then finally, Winterstellar, which has requested 18,500 and the recommendation is 6,200.
I take Andy's point that he's now removed the kind of Whenua consultation and participation cost from that budget, which would take that down to 15,000. And then in that thinking, I would like to see the proposed amount increased to at least half. And so half of that amount would be 7.5. as compared to 6.2.
They have travel.
They have unaccounted for,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see us, living that at more than a third the requested amount.
Yeah, I agree entirely.
Just given that we have the funds there. If it was a more hotly contested round and if the funds weren't there, then I think that you could have a number of arguments. But given that it's not hotly contested and we do have the funds there, I'd like to see us be more generous with them.
Can you please remind us what happens for anything that we don't spend from the 25-26, given this is round 2?
I might actually defer to SAS because will it still fall into
Your reserves.
reserves?
Grants have remained community board funding, so we will have reserves for each of the community boards.
And then we've got to go to, if we go over the budget for that financial year, we go back to council with a recommendation. What does?
We're just working through that because it would seem if the money's there in such small amounts, we had that, it would seem probably too much administration. That rule was brought in quite a few years ago just because some community boards had massive reserves. And if a community board approved it without council knowing that it affected our debt levels, but we really are talking small amounts of money here. So come back to you on that. The team are working through that, but I personally would like to see a change in process that if you've got the reserve there, for grants in particular, that the board just manages it.
Saskia, can I confirm that within those reserves, that would be earmarked as grants reserves, or is it in a?
Yeah, we have Vincent promotion and Vincent grants. Yeah.
And the threshold for getting that back out, there is a threshold process, and if we step over a bit, some money, it's pulling teeth.
Still working that through, as I said before, the team are going to bring a reserves paper to council, reserves policy. My preference would be, given the small amounts that now sit within community boards grants pots, that it seems a lot of administration to be going to start with the grants. It was a general policy because take from the community board, they had millions in reserves, and if they resolved to spend it, you didn't have that money in our bank account, or we're drawing down debt, and council can draw down debt. So more to come, but I'm all for efficiency process.
So when you're saying small amounts, just so we're looking at budgets of $6,000.
Exactly.
You're saying less than 100. Less than
That
100 is a small amount.
we've got 6,000 in our bank account, we can cover that. But more to come.
No, thank you for that clarity. I thought it would just be good to
I think
understand where we are.
the potential with the Winter Stellar event is quite vast but unknown. And the ability for us to have that as a key tourism feature in the Dark Sky Reserve and the proposal there, I think that are some of my key reasons where I'd like to see us fund at least half of the requested amount. Sure.
No, and untapped, probably, it's pretty new, isn't it?
And the engagement with the local schools as well.
Yeah. It's including 9,000.
Yeah, like 250, yeah.
Yeah.
You think 10?
I'm going to be honest, I like rounding up. So,
I'd be happy with 10.
Yeah, okay.
I've got to say, this has probably been the least stressful and the quickest grants round we have ever done.
Helps when you've got money in.
That's
helpful.
Yeah. Thank you to the Blossom Festival.
Yeah, thank you to council for approving that in the LTP. This has made our lives a
It
lot
comes
easier.
back in 2 years though.
Yeah, it does, yes.
Yeah, we'll have that conversation at another time anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so have we got, we'll just make sure we've got, yeah.
Changed.
It still leaves a little bit in the reserves, but
Yeah. So we're looking at approving 5,000. The veterans cricket. Not quite 10,000 for Woolong and 10,000 for Winter Stellar. Okay, so is
Needy for Sarah.
Don't need that.
so it's but we don't have anyone wanting to close off a street or anything. Yeah. Okay. Right, is somebody happy to move A, B, C, D, and E as they are on the screen? And seconded Tony. All in favour? Aye, against, carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have some happy people out there. All right, so now we move on to agenda item 26.3.3 on page 23, which is the long-term plan 2737 project update. Amelia and Biddy, welcome.
We'll start with a quick introduction because I don't think I've attended this board in this triennium. So I'm Amelia Lyons, I'm the Risk and Procurement Manager, and this is Biddy Sharland, who is our Corporate and Strategic Planner.
I'm just going to give you a quick update on where we are with the process of the long-term plan. Really since the last day update, which was toward the end of February. We are progressing to schedule. And when I say schedule, this is our schedule. We call it the bird affectionately. And you'll see sort of what's happened since February on that. The focus at the moment is on working with the activity managers and the budget holders who are creating their presentations for council, which is in 11th and 13th of May. These presentations will detail their plans, budgets, emerging issues and challenges, and they will be also have elements of community board requirements in there, and I understand you're going to get a briefing on that shortly today. The presentations will then, once they've been provided to council, we'll be drafting a paper to take to council late in May for some decisions and direction on the annual plan. And that's it from me, as I said, very short.
Are there any questions at this stage? Or
No, I think I've read that.
did you have anything you'd like to add?
We just really wanted to update on the process, just so the community was well aware of what's happening. As the guy said, as Billy said, Alex will be in a workshop today going through the particular priorities you put up, and we are starting to learn. So we intend to keep the community involved in the process.
I was just going to say, is there a way to make sure that we are aware of anything from the past that we could make? Because I remember, I could have the wrong project here, but I think it was the toilets at the equestrian club at one point. They'd asked it for being the last LTP, and then we kind of just forgot about it and looked at other projects, and then obviously they eventually came back and because it wasn't in the LTP.
I'm not too sure where that one's landed. The workshop session, Alex, will be really good to note that so that we can follow that one.
Oh, I think we've already that one's been dealt with now, but I'm just conscious that we got so caught up in all these much larger projects that we kind of forgot about the other ones that had come to us through the term with things.
We do have resolutions from the previous LTP of things that may require further decisions. So the outdoor pool was one.
The other halls and
the halls were one from Vincent. So we definitely have a record of those. Let us take that away and see if there's an easy way for us to trawl through governance health, the governance reports to see if there's anything else lurking there. But definitely if members are aware of anything outstanding, please let us know and that you want that factored in the LTP.
Perfect. Anything else? Thank you very much. So, somebody happy to move that we receive that report and note its contents. So, Jim, seconder, Tony, all in favour? Aye, against, carried. Thank you. Okay, agenda item 26.3.4, the Mayor's report. Welcome.
Thank you. And you'll all see that I've sent it to you as an email as well because it has a photo with it. So it has been a busy and productive period across both the Vincent ward and for council more broadly. In Alexandra, there's been a continued focus on some of our bigger long-term infrastructure and growth conversations, particularly around wastewater planning and ensuring the town is well placed as it continues to grow. It's been great watching the ground taking shape at both the Ngaitahu subdivision and at William Hill estate. The closure of some long-standing shops in the main part of town is causing some concern for our local community. While it is not necessarily the VCB's role to ensure business success, there is the ability to help shape what our towns look like. So I've attached a fun photo from a town in Italy where shops host nonnas making pasta and tourists come to watch the practice take place without actually entering the shop. There's just a grandma there making pasta and people can watch. So we might have some nannies and grandmas that want to do something cool in some of our empty shops. I don't know. Spinning wool. There you go. The Waitaki District Council undertook an empty shop rejuvenation project a few years ago, which was very successful. And I think there are some options for us to look at some of those as well. In Omako, the celebration of 70 years of W.S. Hickey and Son Wool Merchant was very well attended. It was a wonderful exhibition of all things wool, a top-notch fashion show, which did also include some of Jane Avery's fur collection, well outside my price range, unfortunately, but it was beautiful. But it also had remarkable history of the wool industry. In Clyde, it was neat to see the Innscleugh Castle, which I've spelt wrong in the email, revamp feature on the first episode of the new season of Grand Designs. The final result is a testament to Ryan and Marco's vision and belief in restoring an old gem as the right thing to do. And probably great timing, David and Andy have put their Oliver's venture on the market. So for all those people who were looking for a multi-million-dollar property in Clyde, there's now one available. The contribution of this couple to Clyde and the wider arts and cultural scene over the last decade is immense, and I do hope that they are planning to remain in the area. At a wider council level, elected members continue to balance a full agenda. There is a lot of work happening behind the scenes on preparing for government reforms, progressing water services work, negotiating a regional deal, and ensuring council remains financially resilient while still delivering on the services our communities rely on. They are not simple conversations, but they are important. And as you've just noted, the long-term plan coming next year will be substantially different from what we have previously had, and we are already well into work to bring this to our community early next year. I'm looking forward to heading to Christchurch later this week alongside Carla. I'll be hosting with Mayor Dan Gordon of Waimakariri as we have a jam-packed program of speakers, including mayors, ministers, rural health professionals, waste specialists with opportunities for the whole South Island, alongside regular updates from the likes of Department of Internal Affairs and Outreach. It's a great opportunity to come together as South Island Inc. and leverage collaboration and push the South forward. As always, thank you to the board for your continued commitment to all things Vincent Ward. It's great to have you all here. It's been really neat to see some of you at recent events, including Tony at the Blessing and Jaden of the new Cromwell facility, and sharing the stories with Ana Whenua, which was a really neat event. That's my report.
Any questions for Taylor?
Yeah, a question, and it might be jumping ahead of what you're going to do later in Christchurch. We've got Boundary Road conversation coming up with Wastebusters. Does the Water's Done Well open up opportunities for collaboration on managing and recycling?
No, that's a set one.
No,
Yes and no.
separate.
So it is separate. And
Does it change our thinking a little bit to open up opportunities?
our thinking is already very much in that direction.
We were with class, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
And we are talking about that in the part of councils tomorrow.
I'm just thinking you're thinking, I'm thinking other councils thinking, more so given you're struggling with Waitaki.
Yeah, and I have spoken to multiple mayors around the south, and that is one of there are 5 regional priorities for the Otago Mayoral Forum, and waste collaboration is one of them. So yeah, it's definitely very much more is better and
Well, scale is critical, isn't it?
collaborate.
Yeah.
I've been stopped a number of times since that program aired, asking if the council were embarrassed by it. And council were portrayed in the episode, to which I very clearly noted that I'm on the community board. And so I can't comment on that. Were there any feelings in terms of how the council was portrayed and
I think it's one of those things, they have to make a show. Of note, someone attended one of the tours and said, Mark, I really just glassed over that bit, and because it was a long time ago for them now. As I noted in my letter to the response from one of our ratepayers, council waived our fees for that process in line with it being a Category 1 heritage listed building. When you bring in expert advice from experts, sometimes they say different things. But there's a process to follow, same way as anybody else who needs a resource consent has to follow the process. And while we might look back and go, oh, it would have been really great if we could have just waved a magic wand and said, oh, that looks fabulous, away you go. There does have to be the ability for other people, including the heritage sector, to input into that. So, I mean, the fact that myself and Peter and Martin and many of the others who were involved in that process were invited to the opening, maybe highlights that those particular issues have been resolved.
Public perception though, is that that was a long time to get the consent. Plus it was a lot of money as well. And they specifically said at the start, there was a whole piece of the intro, that part at the start of it that said, to me it looked bad. You know, like I felt embarrassed to be involved with the county.
Except I think your response to the public letter, which is.
And I know it's, and I know.
Nailed it, put it to rest.
And I do know that there's a process and everything else is involved, and I do understand that, but I am talking about public perception as well. So public perception, they just look at it and say, well, it's this, you know.
I mean, the reality is the rules management act is quite complicated. And, you know, those decisions reside with the hearings panel. And I mean, it's the fact is it was a heritage listed. And it's like some of the recent resource consents we're dealing with right now. It is not a popularity contest. Experts, we've engaged 10 experts to assist us in the fast track. Now they'll have a different view to some of the other experts, but that's the process.
We're all employed by the people though. So I'm speaking from the people's point of view, you know. It's all very well to sit in your castle and say, you know, these are the rules, these are the regulations.
That's the challenge for the public perception who don't understand the process. I can 100% agree why they go, well, that was ridiculous. Why would it take that long? But for those who are involved in the process and working through the RMA, it is not an easy fix.
We can only deal with it one way, and that's playing it with a straight bat through the process. That's people don't like the RMA. The government is changing it. Let's hope it makes it easier. I'm not so sure it will, but that's the law. We have to operate with it. We can't use discretion.
Show is not obviously the most helpful. But
That's
I understand.
the response. That's the response is saying, so what? Throw a question back. So what do you understand about the RMA process? What do you understand about where that cost was incurred? Because that's what your letter exposed to me. I've got the tools now to answer that. I asked them questions about it.
And that's the challenge for every year. You can't just.
I think
everybody else who's had to apply for a resource consent and go through that process has gone through the same challenges.
Yeah, but it doesn't make it right though.
No, it doesn't, and that's why the government are changing the RMA, because they agree that it's not an easy process.
And the council does is complicated, it's tricky, and if you just take a small wee portion of it, anything we do can look bad.
And the one so are we doing something wrong again though, Jane? Something wrong.
Okay, sorry, we're gonna jump over to Dylan.
I mean, it went through the process. It went through hearings, and the commissioners made a decision that they weight expert evidence over expert evidence, and they had it all in front of them, and they made a decision which says we support the applicant's view on this, and that's how the RMA process is meant to run. It goes to a hearings panel who weigh all the evidence up and make a decision.
I'm going to jump over to Dylan.
I'm just going to add, and I think, Carla, to your first question around council and council support, what you don't see and what isn't evident to the community, but this is helpful that you can help them understand, is the support they get from other parts of the organisation. So Ali, who you met before, helped them massively in the media space. She's off to go talk about them next week and as well. Andrea, from a trade perspective, helping get their name out there further. So yes, there's a process, as Peter's just explained, that has to be followed, but there's all the other broader support that council's wrapped around as well.
That's really helpful to know, Dylan. Yeah, and I think it's those tricky moments when you meet with someone with a fixed mindset and ready to criticise, and being able to indicate that there is other support that's being offered and it is seen as an asset to the community and there is a working relationship that's positive. Those things are really helpful for us to know so that those conversations don't end up as a stoush at the side of a soccer pitch.
Absolutely.
And I have had a number of those conversations also, Carla, and I don't think there's any, aside from saying, look, there is a process. But you're not going to be able to change people's mind. They look at it and they say, what a waste of time and money. Why would you do that? Hey, agreed. The process is the process.
And the other point that I'm making, is that it is a public perception. So, and when I said, are we doing something wrong? It's not about the process. Is it about informing the public, right? Because we're the community board. I guess we're going to communicate to the public. People are going to come to us and say, well, what's all this about?
I would love
I
the general
can't-
public to be as excited about local governments as we are, but unfortunately,
Well,
we're in the minority.
it's always a negative approach. I
Okay,
do
we're
understand
gonna,
that.
we'll wrap this part up and we'll carry on because we've got a bit to get through in the next session of the meeting. We've got those workshops. So, thank you, Tam. I'm happy to move that you'll be received, seconded. I'm seeing Carla nodding a bit there, so thank you. All in favour? Against? Carried. So we'll now move on to the chair's report. I've just been jotting notes down as we've been talking because I did write something last night, but God knows where I put it on here. So I'm not the best with IT. Anyway, I just wanted to start by congratulating Marco and Ryan on well. We won't rehash that conversation, but just congratulations. I think it was a great thing for them, but also a great thing for this area. And you could never beat having Central Otago's landscapes and skies on national television. Always attracts people, so that was really good. Also, congratulations to Gordy on your award. As an Associate of Honour of the Royal New Zealand Institute of Horticulture for 2026.
Thank you.
A lot of us have spoken for a while about how amazing our Parks and Reserves team are, and this just proves it. So congratulations and well done. Anzac Day, see on Saturday, was a great turnout across the wards. So thank you to Tony for laying a wreath on behalf of the VCB and Clyde, Martin and Ophir, alongside the 100-year celebrations for their Memorial Hall. And the Alex one was also a really good turnout. It's amazing. You take the kids along long enough and suddenly your 4-year-old's laughing when the cannon goes off versus trying to cover their ears and being upset by it. So that was good. Just note that there's a lot of work going on in subdivisions around this ward. And no matter what some people want to say, we are seeing growth here. And it's not just Cromwell. If you look on Napara Street, look up at what Waitahu's doing, we're all hearing about all of these other ones that are starting to go through the process to be approved. So it is great to see the growth in the Vincent ward, especially Alex and Clyde areas. I would note that, it's not always great seeing the number of shops that are closing down on Barbet Street. But I think what Taylor was showing earlier, there are ways for us to get out there and support the community and find creative ways so that our streets don't end up looking run down and abandoned. Because when you've got things like a new Riverside Park sitting down there, the last thing you want is all the shops to be closed and empty as the tourists pass through town. Another congratulations on here would be to Anna and the Cromwell Community Boards. Their project for their new facility is moving ahead very well, and it was great to see such a great turnout on Friday morning for the opening of the Memorial Gardens and the gifting of the Ngāi name to them, which I know there's a lot of people quite excited. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's council meeting to get more detail on what's going on with that. And I do hear there's already a lot of interest in it for different events. So I think that's going to be a huge asset to the whole district, not just Cromwell, but it also shows what a community board can do when they partner with council and get in there and do it. Since last meeting, we also had the play advocates in the district. So after our last VCB meeting, jumped in a car and spent 4 hours driving around the Vincent ward, showing off all of the parks and reserves we could possibly fit into that time frame. The majority of them came from city councils and were absolutely shocked by the size of just Vincent. 4 hours sounds like a long time, but when you actually get out of the car and start going around, it's not a lot of time at all. And so we ended up having to go up to Paulburn Hill so I could just start pointing at things. And again, just this ward was larger than most of their council areas. So it does show that we've got a small population in a huge area.
The local team space too, didn't they?
Yes, yeah, no, definitely did, and all the work that they've done. So I'm really looking forward to seeing those final recommendations from them. If it's anything like the mural that was painted on Skirt Street, it'd be great. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I believe that is me for this meeting. So thank you all for coming in today as well, and for all of the work you are actually doing out there in the community. Like, you get a lot of the negative stuff, but I do hear a lot of the positives about the conversations and the advocacy that this group is doing out there. So thank you for that on behalf of the community. And on that note, I'm happy to move that my report be received. Seconder, Jim, all in favour? Aye, against, carried. And then we'll move straight into members' reports. Jim, did you want to go first?
Well, I haven't really got anything to report. I did go to the half mile project at the end of last session, and found that reasonably engaging. So, and they're doing a good job. It was, I think Tony was there. I was there. So yeah, it was, yeah, they were very passionate people in the community, and they're doing a really good job.
A couple of things that makes the activity. We had the Promote Dunstan Wine and Food and Clyde. Numbers were about on par last year. Weather was a bit ordinary. We competed with warbirds. One slightly disarming trend of the young people at the front of the mush pit was there. The trend is now to throw glasses. So we had a couple on the stage, and certainly 1,000 are on the ground. So we might have to look at if we do glassware or something different. But pretty good event. We've scaled back. We used to peak around 2,600. We're probably on around 2,000 people. Things that are happening with
Speaking of the ones with the vendors, they seem to think it was pretty good. I think the vendors did pretty well.
We're full up the vendors, so they're certainly having a
Are you limiting
most
numbers?
not all of them, but most of them had a great time.
The limited numbers, or is it full, Tony? Or
sorry,
is it full?
It's full in terms of we haven't got any sites left. It's not full like it used to be, where you couldn't walk from one end to the other. So it's actually not a bad number to settle on. Yeah, it's room to move. The memorial opening last Friday. The thing that touched me was their touchstone. So they've dedicated with a more Maori history around it, with a smooth, slightly smooth and appropriate carving on it to the touchstone. And I guess where it touched me was thinking about a rock and what's our thinking in terms of tenure. It just made me stop and think a little bit about long-term thinking. Make sure we.
It's a little bit deep.
It was. Well, and I didn't expect it, and it didn't hit me at the time. But on the drive home, I thought, "Wow, that's changed the thinking."
Bigger feedback.
I'm sure.
And thank you, Tony. Carla.
Yeah, and Jim and I have obviously met to talk about the community outreach. We've put a discussion doc out to the community board and shared that with Sarah about what our intentions are. We're hoping to hold some listening sessions towards the end of May, beginning of June, to identify people's interest in our proposal so that we can co-design the way that would work, rather than simply foisting that onto the community without their input. So that was really positive. Like I said, we've got support within the community for that approach, and Jim and I will be working hard to do personal outreach to have good attendance and stop that from being hijacked bikers. That's the official term.
That'll be a challenge.
The other thing is I've had some really interesting conversations about street naming potential expansion, and definitely interest in the community of people wanting to know more about that process and how that might be extended. So just keen to learn more about that as we move forward. And then heading with Tamer to Christchurch tomorrow for the zone conference. I have been asked to meet with LGNZ about a project I'm doing for my work around online harm training for adults that work or volunteer with young people, and they're eager for LGNZ to roll that out. So you may end up doing a training on design. Be exciting. And so it'll be interesting to follow that conversation.
And I hope you had a great time at that conference. I'm very jealous not to be there, but it's birthdays. So yeah, I'm getting a bit of FOMO for that one. Right, so I'm happy to move that those members' reports be received. Tony will second it. All in favour? Against? Carried. Right, and then if we move to page 29, agenda item 2637, you will find the governance report. Any questions or comments in regards to that? Are there any comments from staff or updates they'd like to give? Anything from there?
The KP's report is really helpful again. I get asked about that.
It's a good format.
To be able to.
It's one thing that, Brad, have a look at, the land around Molly Park. What's happened? We talked about the bund in front of Naitahu, Gordy.
David?
Yeah, we've got, they've offered some soil towards it. We're just working with them right now on what that could look like. So, yeah, watch the space. Yeah.
I do.
And start this week with grinding stuff. The plan last week, depending on how they went. So it's not this week, it'll be next.
Also looking forward to seeing that. And how are things going with Riverside Park?
So we're just going through the building consent process and just waiting on the last GOT adjustment to be made. But I guess we just those processes finished. Off the top of my head, telling you how long it's been in the council because that's a time period. Yeah.
And I believe that one's our recommendations are heading to council tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. No, thank you. Somebody happy to move that we receive that report? And Tony, all in favour?
Yeah.
Against? Carried. Right, so the date of our next meeting is Monday, the 8th of June. And we will now move on to the resolution to exclude the public under section 48 of the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 due to the commercial sensitivity of the papers that will be going through there. And for anybody that's watching, we do have a workshop. We will be back later around about 20 to 1. Will be on the board's feedback on the long-term plan priorities. Tony, second, yeah.
Hang on, just on that last governance, sorry, I know we've closed it off. I just did have I wasn't sure when to bring it up. The tree, we've done the tree removal. Is that right, Gordy?
We're talking.
The